everybody, Susie here from All Kids Bike, and this video is really to show you some tips and tricks and things to watch for in the builds and what you can look for in your PE classes, and really just an all-inclusive video to make sure that you have success in your kindergarten PE program. So we're going to get started talking about the build. Your build can be anything from a community build where you have members from the community coming, maybe the donor for your schools wanting to do the build with them. It could be inside the school, just school staff doing it. No matter where your bike build is, we want to make sure that everybody watches the assembly videos. Now there are a few videos that go along with the 14X builds. There's the 14X balance bike mode assembly video, pedal bike mode assembly video, and then there are sizing videos for balance bike mode and pedal bike mode. And there are also a couple of maintenance videos. We're going to put that whole list of videos with the links in this blog post so that you're able to reference them at any time. With the bike builds in particular, just make sure that you watch the assembly video for the balance bike mode, if nothing else. Anytime you get a bunch of people doing a big project together, it's fun. The adrenaline is high and the energy is awesome, but there are some things that get forgotten. So we want to make sure when you're doing the build, there's a few things that you absolutely make sure that you do. The first thing is power tools. Power tools go faster, but they're also not made for these bikes. When you open the box, there are tools that are included. There's a small wrench and a bigger wrench, and that's all you need to assemble these bikes. Anytime you get lots of torque on, you're going to start stripping screws and messing things up, so we really suggest just using the tools that are included in the bike package. Another thing is there's some learn to ride guides. These are super helpful. They come in the box. It's worth saving them, so you can just set them aside. And then finally, the most important thing probably that's in the box that sometimes gets lost is the actual pedal kit. So when you're doing the bike build, you're going to start all the bikes in balance bike mode because that is how each class starts. And the pedal kit doesn't even need to be open. So you're going to have a lot of these boxes. They need to be put in a safe spot, and make sure that when you're done with the build, you do an inventory. If you don't have all your pedal kits, go through the boxes. Make sure you have one of these for every bike that you have. And then you should have everything all lined up and ready for your PE program. After the build is done and you've got all your bikes lined up and ready for class, you definitely want to go over them one more time and just make sure that there are things that weren't missed. One of the most common things is packing material. So we have these hubcaps, people call them. They're not hubcaps, they're really just packing material. You want to make sure you go through all of the bikes. If you see any of these attached, go ahead and toss them. They are trash. Also look for all of the screws and nuts and bolts and make sure everything is tight. The handlebars, they can move front and back, up and down, same with the seat. Make sure all of them aren't moving. So you don't have to put all your body weight into it, but you can usually tell if something is loose, and if it moves like this, you need to get your tools out that came with the box and tighten those up. When your students come and you're sizing them to each child, you're going to have to tighten them again, but at the beginning, make sure they're all tight and everything looks good. Another really common mistake is the washer. It's not a huge thing, but sometimes it gets missed. This cupped fork washer should go over this. Here's one right here that hasn't been. It's upside down. So make sure the washers are also facing the right direction. It should be facing downward, just like this. When you're putting the stem into the frame, another thing to look for is the word strider. Sometimes those can go on backwards. A good rule and what to look for is if the child's popping a wheelie, you should be able to read strider straight if they're popping a wheelie on their bike. So make sure the striders are facing the right direction, and if all of the bikes look fairly consistent and everything is tightened up, everything should be put together properly. So now the bikes are built and you're ready for your first class. You need to go give the bikes just a quick once over. We want to make sure of things like the wheels are spinning freely and that there's enough air pressure in the tires. If there isn't, just use a simple bike pump and pump those up so they're nice and firm. Also, when you're sizing the bikes for your kids, there's something really important on the handlebars and seat that's called the minimum insertion mark. The lines indicate the minimum amount they should be in the frame in order for them to be safe. So make sure all of these little dashed lines are not showing, then you know that the bike seat is in the frame far enough. So it can be up really high, it can be down really low. It totally depends upon the child. And then go ahead and watch the sizing video and you'll be able to see exactly where that should be fitting for each child. Again, the handlebars move forward and backward depending upon the child's reach. That's also a sizing thing, so make sure you watch out for the sizing video there and decide for arm length how that should fit the child. On the handlebar, there's also a minimum insertion mark, so with this actual part, it goes up and down. You make sure that those minimum insertion marks are also not showing on the handlebars. Once you have your pedal cap attached, go ahead and make sure that you're spinning with just your hand to make sure that they do spin freely. If there's anything wrong, we have some maintenance videos that have to do with chain tension as well as chain maintenance. There shouldn't be much maintenance. These are single speed bikes. You can lube them up about once a year and that should be sufficient. You don't have to do it between each class. We talked about in the build how it was easy to lose track of things. One other thing that's easy to lose track of that we want to make sure we keep is the footrests. When you're moving from balance bike mode to pedal bike mode, we like to put our footrests on a string. That way they're all in the same place. You can hang them on a hook and they're easy to come back to after the end of your unit. You take your pedal bike assembly and we put them in a bin and save them for later, and then put the footrests back on the bikes so that they're ready to start the next unit and all fully assembled that way. So that's just an easy way to keep track of everything. We talked about the sizing videos and how sizing is really important. One thing to keep in mind is that the balance bike mode and the pedal bike mode have different sizing. So the same bike for the same kiddo will have a little bit different sizing for both of those modes. Another thing is the seat height. So the seat height is easily adjustable and it's with a quick release clamp. So these quick release clamps, it just has a lever that goes in and out and you can move the seat up and down. When you're shutting the clamp, you should just use your palm and it should be fairly tight and leave just a little mark on your palm. You shouldn't have to put all of your body weight into it, and it also shouldn't be super easy, so that's a good go-to for quick release clamps. Again, the minimum insertion marks, no matter what the size of the child is, make sure the minimum insertion marks aren't showing. We also have a really cool video on this blog that talks about helmet sizing. When a helmet doesn't fit properly, it's not safe, but even more, it's really a distraction and it's hard to learn and concentrate in class. We have the 2-4-1 sizing method. The 2 is that when you're putting the helmet on, you should have 2 fingers from the helmet to your eyebrows, and that should be the same case with a child. 4 is taking both of your fingers like this and making sure these straps on the helmet go around each ear. And then the 1, when the strap is underneath the child's chin, you should only be able to put 1 finger underneath that strap, so it should be nice and snug. Hopefully this video is helpful to look for certain things during the build, for sizing suggestions, for storage, for inventory maintenance, and also to make sure that your success of your kindergarten PE program runs smoothly. We hope that you have fun biking and make sure you stay in touch with All Kids Bike and let us know how your programs are going.